What is up, Facebook land? Timothy Wenger here from The Man Effect, bringing you the fifth live interview. This week, or this day, I guess, or this interview, bringing on a good friend of mine, Robert Schwenkler. I hope I said it right. So, oh, there he is. We made it. We landed.
We're here, Tim.
We are.
You pronounced it right. Also.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I don't remember. Do you like Bob or Robert better?
Going by Robert these days.
Going by Robert these days.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. So, real quick, everyone who's just watching, I'm just going to take a second here to share this on a couple of pages. So, if I'm looking away, that is why.
Entertain yourself. Talk amongst yourselves. Mike
Just
Mantel, what's up? Good to see you, brother.
Watch my beard grow slowly. I'm loving this Facebook Live stuff.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun. People get to see how weird I am. What's up, Cassandra? Thanks for tuning in. All right. Here we go.
Cool.
So, anyway, my name's Timothy Wenger. I'm from The Man Effect. I've been doing this new thing where I interview really awesome people and ask them interesting questions. So I've decided to bring Robert on. And how I met Robert was through a mutual acquaintance, I guess, online. And we had a good couple sessions, and Robert's really helped push me to new levels. And so I thought, who could push the audience some more? I thought of Robert. So could you just give us a little quick short description, I guess, of what you're doing with Brotherhood community and what you're starting?
Yeah, the Brotherhood community is an organization that I co-created with two of my close guy friends and colleagues. And basically what we're doing is bringing a new paradigm of male leadership into the world. There's a whole generation of men a couple generations of men who have lost their potency and their fire, and who are scared to, especially in the face of the Me Too movement and all of this stuff that's going on right now. There's a lot of men who are scared to cross boundaries, be creepy, and things like this. And they're scared to be big. They're scared to be in their power. They're scared to be fully themselves, to own their sexual energy, to own their aliveness, to own their bigness. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there's the douchebag asshole guy, and who does violate boundaries. And yet there's something like sexy about that kind of guy. It's like, there's the cliche that women are attracted. Why are women always attracted to the assholes? Yeah. And there's a cliche there. What's up, Greg? And there's something there that is like true to the human experience that people crave. And so what we do is this model called integrated leadership. We teach men, and not just teach, but create embodied experiences for men to show up, especially in the context of mission-driven leadership. So purpose work, business, organization, but also in relationship and life, of how to lead potently, but also with heart and with attunement. So really, my broader vision for this work is to flip the paradigm of men and masculinity in the United States on its head.
Come on. That's awesome. So I'm actually kind of curious. This is not what I was planning to ask, but as being someone who's leading and trying to push in an area that is kind of unstable right now, it seems like, what are some of the biggest things that you've learned that have caught you off guard in leading in this area?
I don't know that anything has caught me off guard. It makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of men are, certainly in my community, it's a lot of the men in my community and who I connect with are suffering. They don't feel like they have a voice. They feel like they're being attacked. And sometimes that's, that might be true. And on the other side of the picture, there's a lot of, I guess I'm going to the Me Too. This has been so like hot in the culture right now.
Mm.
There's a lot of women who are hurting with really good reason to be hurting, and so
Mm.
there's this clash happening, this clash of needs, and like finding the wiggle room for empathy to actually create connection
Mm.
across this seeming divide is not necessarily surprising, but it's just I keep learning more and more about the nuances and the details of how that shows up and how it looks and how to engage
Yeah.
it more effectively. So
Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, so you're just seeing more patterns and just observing the reality of the situation.
yeah, yeah,
That's intense.
yeah,
Cool. Well, you mind if we jump in here?
yeah.
You good to
Let's go
go?
there.
Need a
Yeah.
stretch or anything?
No, I just came back from a run. I ran the stairs, did my pull-ups. I'm ready to go.
Oh, come on. I need to go do that
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
Well, the first question I usually ask every person is, if you were to describe what it means to be a man in one word, what would it be and why?
What it means to be a man in one word.
Hmm.
What does it mean and why? I think the why kind of is cheating, isn't it? I get to put so much context. Um,
A little bit, yeah.
I'll give you my definition of what it means to be a man. I have to find it first. My definition of what it means to be a man is, I'll say expressed. That's the word I'm going to give you
Mm,
right now.
okay.
And why is that I look out at the world and I experience it as a world that is just deeply suffering for lack of people who are living a deeper purpose in life, who are connected with a calling,
Mm,
something that's bigger than them, something that's spirit driven, and um, and when people are in touch with that and their actions, their day to day, the work that they're doing
mm,
becomes something that is, that their body, their system, their energy is open to the full expression of not only who they are, but what's bigger than them that wants to come through.
mm,
Um, that's the place where people find nourishment, they find fulfillment, they find happiness, they find connection with other people, they find um, all of these elements of our existence that we tried to cover up in all kinds of other ways, with money,
yeah,
with work, with bad sex, or like too much sex or no sex, or
yeah,
drugs, alcohol, our own thoughts.
yeah.
All of these kinds of things are just cover ups for the discomfort that we feel when we're not. I would say the discomfort that we feel that's keeping us from being fully expressed.
Mm, hmm,
There's a Rumi quote that I love, and he says, I forget exactly how it goes, but it basically is, your job is not to search for love, but it's to simply find everything that's in the way of it
oh, interesting. That's a
and
beautiful.
undo it.
Oh,
And so there's all these
mm,
parts of ourselves, all these energies, all these emotions that we haven't come into full right relationship with.
mm,
And all of that stuff basically lives inside us, and it is like, it's like planting a seed, a beautiful, gorgeous seed that has so much potential in the ground, and then just standing on top of it,
yeah,
wondering when it's going to start growing.
yeah. I love it. So I'm curious, are there men in your life who um, embody that, the
Yeah,
expressed?
yeah, absolutely. And the men in my life bring all different flavors of it. I'll say that
Hmm.
I'm really blessed, and when I say that I'm blessed, it's not by accident, because I've spent the past 5 years of my life very intentionally cultivating and creating my inner
Yeah,
circle.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but I'm very blessed to be surrounded with not just men, but women, people,
Hmm.
surrounded by people who are deeply and fully expressed.
Mm,
The two guys who come immediately to mind for me are the men that I run the Brotherhood community with, who are Joshua
hmm.
Hathaway and Peter Rubin.
Hmm.
And they both bring their own flavors. Joshua is he's like the biggest energy that I have ever met in my life. He's alive, he's big, he just steps into his dominant qualities, and
Hmm.
this, like, he's a big energy. And
Mm.
then Blair, what's up? Good afternoon to you.
What's up, Blair?
And then Peter is expressed in a different way. He tends he's very expressed on an emotional level, which I also
Mm.
am. And he's a stand for sensitivity and attunement and
Mm.
slowing down and really taking time and not pushing past things.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a lot of ways I land in the middle of the two. And so I get to learn a lot from both of them, and I also get to hold both of them in certain ways, and we
Uh-huh.
complement each other really well.
Hmm. That's fun. That's a
Yeah.
really cool like way to be in the middle of two very beautiful things.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um, so
And also,
go for it. Sorry.
yeah, I want to say that I mentioned that I'm surrounded by expressed women as well, and I just as a like my experience of being a man, I want to speak to how nourishing and beautiful and healing that is
Mm.
to have
Yeah.
women in my life who are how do I want to say it? Like number one, who are honest with me. Like they
Mm.
don't. I think a lot of women in our culture are socialized to forego their own needs
Yeah.
in order to meet the needs, ostensibly meet the needs of the other people around them. And, you know, we all do this, but for women, it's definitely a distinct part of the socialization that I see it. It
Mm.
happens in a more distinct way.
Mm.
Um, and the women that I surround myself with, they let me know when they're pissed off at me. They let me know when something that I do or that I say hurts them, and they let me know
Mm.
when they're feeling happy, when they're feeling connected to me, when they love me. They let me know the God, the King that they see in me.
Mm.
So they, and again, coming back to the word expressed, they are so they're so open. They're such open expressions of what's happening for them in the moment. So it gives me this really rich, really beautiful feedback
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
human and also as a man in relation to women. It lets
Yeah.
me know where I'm on and where I'm off.
Mm.
You know, according to their GPS, and then I get to take that in and compare it to my own GPS and find what's true for me or not.
Yeah.
But it's such a blessing. It's I couldn't ask for anything more beautiful from the women around me, and it
Mm.
just contributes so much to my growth as a man. And I want to
Mm.
say, and then I'll finish this thought, that it's the reason that I have that around me, I believe, is because I've done my work to be able to receive that from them. I've done my work to be able to not take it so personally when they're upset or angry.
Mm. Mm.
I've done the work that it takes to just, I guess, energetically attract women who aren't just looking to play out
Mm.
unconscious patterns and dump their trauma on me. I've done that
Mm.
in the past, you know.
Mm. When you
Um,
say when you're saying you've done the work, like what are some examples of that just for people who might not have a
mhm.
context?
Yeah, a lot of this ties into the work that we're doing in the Brotherhood community, which is creating. I'll talk about it in the context of that, but all of this is stuff that I've been deeply involved in on a personal level, which is creating
Mm.
spaces for. I'll talk about myself. I have um, I have given myself over to spaces where I get to face all of the parts of me that I haven't faced, you know, previously
Mm.
in my life.
Mm.
My grief, my anger, my rage, my
Mm.
confusion, um, my my the part of me that's willing to show up and be a dick. The part of me
Mm.
that's willing to show up and say, no, I'm fucking right.
Yeah.
The part of me that's willing to show up and say, I believe in myself fully. I don't
Mm.
care what you think.
Mm.
And the part of me that's willing to feel other people and know that just because that I can really receive what somebody else is being with. I'm getting a bit abstract again, but I've done just
Mm.
deep processes around being held by groups of men, raging full out, like screaming, yelling, expressing my anger, and being able to really feel it fully through my body.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and I get to take that part of me, that anger that had been in the shadows, that was running the show on some level. For me, it showed up as depression, deep
Mm.
depression for many
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
And I experienced it basically as anger circulating itself back within me and just pointing itself back toward me.
Mm.
And as I was held by, oftentimes by other groups of men, in a space where it was totally okay for me to fully open up and stop circulating that inside of me and really like release it and let it go through my voice, through my body, it comes out of the shadows of my unconscious, and I get to develop a conscious relationship to it. What I've found, especially with the anger, has been a big one for me, is that as I've cultivated a conscious relationship with anger, as I've opened those channels up in my body and my system, and it's become more available to anger flowing through it, what I've also gained is access to passion. I've gained access to my boundaries. I've gained access to my ability to take a stand for myself and also for other people, to call them on their bullshit with love. Say like, this isn't you, and it's like you're greater than this, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to the latter part of that first segment we were going on about women in your life, impactful women in your life. Something I've been really thinking about a lot and curious to hear about from your perspective is, how are ways that women can support men to grow in healthy masculinity, or just who they are, without being overtly like, you need to work on this, or you need like, what are ways that you've experienced women who are secure in themselves empower you to become who you are as a person, and how can other people emulate that?
I feel the butterflies come up in my belly as you ask me this question, because it feels so taboo as a man to try to speak to what women should be doing, especially in the context of Me Too, where they're coming out with stories of trauma, and there's this whole thing around mansplaining and victim blaming and stuff like that. So I feel those butterflies come up, and what I'll say is that the women who I hold, anybody who's listening can either receive or totally disregard what I'm saying here, but I have the blessing of being in close relationship with women who want my feedback also, just like I want their feedback. They want and need my feedback. And what I know from the women around me is that there is a lot of collective wounding around men and masculinity. Like on some level, a lot of women think that they don't trust men, they don't feel safe around men, they maybe on some levels actively dislike men, they don't believe that men are trustable. There are all these collective beliefs that are floating around, and for good reason. And the thing that opens up, what I see in the women around me is the thing that opens up intimacy and fulfillment in my connection with them and in their connections with other men, is that they're willing to face that stuff. I was talking about me facing my own anger. They're willing to face the places where they are hurt by men, wounded by men, and do the inner healing work around that stuff. So that they're, instead of living in fear, which I want to say a couple things are coming to mind right now, like the place where all of us, not just women, but I see it happening for women in a certain flavor, oftentimes, is that where there's fear and trauma stored in their body, they're less able to hold their own boundaries. Not trusting men is oftentimes just it's them not trusting themselves to hold their boundaries and to speak their truth. And so the women who I trust are women who have gone in and explored those places where they feel like they have to keep themselves small in order to keep the peace, in order to make the men around them happy, in order to keep themselves safe, which is a reality in the world. Like, women do have to modulate their expression in order to literally to keep themselves physically safe. And that's not, there are safe people, and there are safe places and safe spaces. And so the more work that I do to become a safe, trustworthy man who can hold what they have to offer, the more that they can bring it all. And they can, so I guess the simplest answer to your question is to do the work on where they give up their voice and learn how to fucking own it.
That's powerful.
I might have a different answer in 10 seconds, but that's my answer right now.
I will too. Really, at the core, what I hear you saying is just work on yourself. And I think that goes for both parties. Like, the more that you do work, the more your friends will benefit. And the more they do work, the more that the people around them benefit. It's
Yeah,
like,
and it's a deceivingly simple answer. I also want to acknowledge Summer wrote so true, and Summer, I would love to hear what specifically, like what was just being spoken to that really resonated with you, if you're willing to share. Um, and so Tim, yeah, like it's do your inner work, and it's deceivingly simple. Summer says a culture of mutual respect and value. Absolutely, yeah. It's it's looking at the places where we disconnect ourselves from the world around us, even if we feel
mm,
like we have really good reasons to do that, which a
yeah,
lot of people like in the past have had really good reasons to learn that lesson, that it's not safe for me to connect with people or to open
yeah,
myself up or to be fully
yeah,
expressed, whatever the flavor is.
absolutely.
It's looking at those places, and it's actively seeking out and finding support spaces to undo that stuff.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually just talking with a friend earlier today about taking responsibility for your life, right? And doing everything that you can do to change your reality. And it kind of makes me think about that. It's like, yes, there are these external influences on our lives, but we actually personally have a lot of ability to do work on ourselves.
Mhm.
And that just makes me think of it too, just like taking responsibility and pushing forward
Mhm.
and doing the work,
Mhm.
to kind of
Mhm.
reference previously.
Yeah, and I want to say that the thought that comes up is that uh, uh, the idea of taking responsibility for one's life can be a double-edged sword. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Like I want to not be at effect of the world,
Hmm.
and there's also a place where that might be able to be used against somebody else.
Mm,
To Gaslighting is something that I think about, or victim blaming could be another word. It depends on how you want to
yeah.
phrase it, but it's basically like. Um, I would be really hesitant, not hesitant, but I would be really aware of the impact that it might have if I told somebody else to take responsibility for their life, or to
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
because it can have the effect of basically saying like, you need to, I'll talk about men, like you need to just man up. You need to take responsibility for your life.
Hmm.
When the reality is that for a lot of us, some of the most deep and healing work is actually letting ourselves collapse
Mm,
and letting ourselves be held in just like our biggest, like deepest, messiest mess.
mm,
And that's a lot of the work that we do with men in the Brotherhood community. I have a private practice also. I work with singles and couples. I've done a lot of beautiful work with women actually around healing
mm,
some of their wounds around men and the masculine, and being able to hold that space for them.
mm.
But sometimes taking responsibility actually means letting ourselves fall all the way apart.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of like, to, it's just there's that tension of like there are people who, let's use a job, as they hate their job and they're a victim to their job, but in reality they choose to go to their job and trade their time for money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's that type of reality, but there's also the people who've been taken advantage of, and learning the line of where their responsibility lies is, I mean, there's such a tension there. Absolutely. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate you highlighting that.
And a lot of the work that I do is in the realm of trauma healing and somatic therapy, actually. And so,
Mm,
for the example of somebody who's like choosing to do a job, it's like, yes, on some level, and there are people who are in their life situations because they have been deeply traumatized.
mm,
And
mm,
there's physiological and neurological and biological, quantifiable realities to that.
yeah.
And on it's like, where's that balance? Like how much energy and power do I give to that truth, because it is a truth, and how
Mm,
much energy and power do I give to the not the alternate truth, but the complementary truth that you are choosing. Like
yeah.
you are choosing to keep showing up this way. You are choosing to keep believing these things, to keep feeling these ways, and it's something I'm still great. Like that
Yeah.
balance between those two ends of the spectrum is something I'm very much still grappling with
Oh
personally, and
yeah.
it's a deep inquiry for me, and it's um yeah.
You mean it's a complex issue that can't be summarized in one statement?
I
What?
I
Get
think that's
off.
what I'm saying.
Just
I
just
think that's
just
what
leave now, because that's what I wanted.
I'm, you wanted answers? You wanted silver bullets? I guess I'm not the expert that we thought I was.
Son of a gun. No, I really do like that because it's like the reality is there is so much going on. There are millions of variables that are influencing our lives and our decisions. And so it's like being aware of that, but also being perseverant enough to move forward and to develop ourselves. I love it. I just love what you've been saying, and
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of people jumping on here. Just wanted to give some shout outs to like Kenny, Arnaud. I don't know if I probably said that wrong, and Ferna. And then Summers just left a comment. Thank you, Summer, and what's up, Hayden? So Bob, are you ready for the next round of questions? We got
Yeah,
about
except
3,000.
for Robert.
Oh, shit. I'm
It's
sorry,
taking
Robert.
everybody. It's taking everybody a while. I'll
Robert.
keep making the adjustments.
Dude,
Everybody's
be
getting used to
stubborn
it.
with me. Be
Let's
stubborn
move
with
on.
me.
Yeah.
Um, for someone who's just starting their journey, like say you're a young 20-something man is like wanting to develop and grow, what would be some resources that you would suggest to them? Like a podcast, a YouTube channel, a book, just like maybe one or two in each arena.
Hmm. Well, my first question is to grow in what area, but
Well, let's go specifically with personal development, like emotional intelligence, specifically kind of in
sure,
that
yeah,
realm.
emotional intelligence, super important for men. For a lot of guys, No More Mr. Nice Guy is at the top of my list
Mm,
uh, of books to read to send to them. It nails about half of the male population in America, in my judgment. It's got some really powerful insights into I guess like the water of masculinity that we swim in, which is one of the versions that I was speaking to earlier, which is guys who actually aren't fully in contact with their power. What's up, Kyle? Good to see you here. Um, I guess I'll say one of the biggest insights that I took from that book personally was how being easy and go with the flow all the
mm,
time, and how being a nice guy specifically is actually really manipulative.
mm.
Me being a nice guy actually shows up as me trying to control the environment around me and
Yes.
to keep all of the emotions, like let's not feel too much, let's not get too angry, let's keep things cool, let's be nice to each other. I'm going to be nice to you, and if you aren't being nice to me, then I'm just going to totally close up and go away because I can't hang with
Mm,
you.
mm.
And if you're going to be with me, then you need to meet me at my niceness. And it's really manipulative, actually.
Yeah.
Um, and it's basically me trying to control the environment and people's
Yeah.
emotions and experiences around me in order to
Yes.
meet my needs. So,
Yeah.
No More Mr. Nice Guy, great book for so many men.
Mm,
And that's one concrete piece that I got out of that book.
mm. What about like a podcast or any YouTube channels that you follow?
Podcast, yeah. Um, there's a bunch. I mean, I'll say that
I
I
know
did a
there's a ton.
podcast. Yeah, I did a podcast for a couple of years actually. Uh, um, I'll talk about my own stuff for a moment. It's called Reclaiming Male Role Models, and I
Mm,
traveled around the United States for 6 months and interviewed men all around the country
mm,
about it was exploring masculinity through the lens of our male role models. So I
mm,
traveled around and I searched for the most inspiring men that I could find
mhm,
and talked to them about who were their primary male role models growing up and what impact did that have on them and how do they pass that legacy on, and really just
mm.
an exploration of the lineage of masculinity that all the different flavors of the lineages of masculinity that we all grow up with, and it was
Mm.
really rich series of conversations. So those are still, I'm not actively continuing to put episodes out, but all of those
Yeah.
episodes are still live.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll try to put a link in the show
Okay.
notes
Yeah.
for it.
Reclaimingmalerolemodels.com for anybody who's watching and wants to check it out.
Cool.
And Kyle, thank you for the love. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for that shout out, Kyle. And Chris, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Oh man, which one should we do next? There's so many good
Which
ones.
one? Yeah. Don't choose
So,
wrong.
I know. There's pressure is so great. When were some moments in your life um, when you like as they were happening, you just were like, man, like I feel like a man. And like in this moment, I felt embodied. I'd
Yeah,
love
I
to
gotta say,
hear some experiences like that.
this is a little bit of a vulnerable share, but the thing that pops instantly to mind is there's a woman that I've been dating lately, and there's just these
Mm,
moments where we're having sex where I'm like, I'm looking at her and I'm looking at me penetrating her, and
mm,
I just like those are the moments where I feel most like a man, is where I'm like in one of these most primal expressions of
mm,
my being and my energy and my sexuality, where I'm penetrating her physically, emotionally,
mm,
spiritually, and I feel the most like a man in those moments. Is the first
mm,
thing that pops into my mind.
mm. And how does that impact you?
How does that impact me? It, I mean, in the moment, it impacts me. It's this beautiful place of this simultaneous experience of aliveness
Mm,
and stillness.
mm.
I guess
Interesting.
a flow state basically is what you could call it,
Yeah.
but it's a different flavor of flow state than when I'm working or when I'm doing a coaching session, or anywhere else in my life. There's this depth and this richness to it that I don't experience anywhere else. So it's just my the impact in the moment is I just get to feel this delicious, juicy, alive, primal, connected, just have that kind of an experience, and I get to share
Mm.
it with somebody as well. I get to
Sounds like you're just
exchange.
super present almost, it sounds like, just
Yeah,
in that
yeah, like
moment.
a deep presence. I get to really
Mm,
open up. I get to be highly expressed.
mm-hmm.
Um, and those moments of of like full expression or close to full expression or being in a flow state, those are the moments where, certainly for myself, and I think a lot of us, where we touch God, or whatever word you want to use for it, where we touch something beyond us.
Mm.
Um,
Interesting.
and it's, and in the broader context of my life, the impact that it has on me is that, one of the big lessons that I've been learning at this point in my life is that it teaches me that my dominant characteristics and qualities and my dominant energy is needed and wanted and beautiful and powerful and healing,
Mm, mm,
rather than harmful and
mm-hmm.
destroying and violating and creepy and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm
Yes.
learning beautiful lessons that, the full expression of my sexuality and my dominance is a gift
Mm, mm, mm-hmm.
when
When
done.
you've tamed it and controlled it in some
Yeah,
senses.
well, I wouldn't even want to use. I hear what you're saying. I would not at all want to use the word tamed, though. It's when my dominance and my ability to penetrate are integrated with, my ability to have my empathy and my attunement online.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
when I can feel as well as I can fuck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get what you're saying. I
Yeah.
love it. So I'm going to ask you a question someone else asked in a
Hmm.
previous interview here. I'd be curious
Cool.
to hear your thoughts. How would I say it? Why do you consistently or consciously want to develop masculinity in other men's life and your life when there are so many men out there that just don't care?
Who fucking cares if they don't care? Like, why should I care about if guys don't care or not? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there are there are men out there who are yearning desperately. They're like, men commit suicide at a rate of,
Dude.
for out of every 5 suicides in the U.S., 4 of them are women. Men are suffering, and whomever looks out at men and thinks that they don't care, I would, like, I have some fierceness that comes up for me around that. I say, like, what the fuck is your filter going on that you look out at the world and see men don't care? Because
Mm,
men are suffering.
mm,
Men want an experience of aliveness. They want an experience of purpose. They want experience of
yes.
connection. They want. There are a
Yeah.
lot of men out there who want.
Absolutely.
That's the filter that I see the world through more and more. Um, so the question is just like, I can't even relate to it. So I want to try to rephrase it for myself. So it's like why am I called to create community for men and create spaces for
Yeah.
men to deepen
Yeah.
into themselves and connect with each other on
Yeah.
a personal level? It's because I've been so disconnected from that for much of my life.
Mm,
We
yeah.
teach what we most need to learn. It's
Mm,
true for every other healer that I know.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Haven't met an exception up till this date. Um, it's what I have suffered around in my own life, and there's something intangible. It's just I there's some it's my calling. It's what wants to come through for me in this
Mm,
lifetime,
mm-hmm.
and I don't know exactly why.
Mm,
There are things that I can point to. Like I lost when I was a year and a half old. I lost a baby brother
mm,
who died when he was just 8 weeks old, and that there was this imprint of loss and trauma and grief, not just from him, but the impact that it had on my family. So there was there was that loss of brotherhood that I experienced
yeah.
early on. There's I'm realizing more and more there's this deeper yearning for like a really fully embodied father figure in my life, which I haven't had the experience of. Um,
Mm,
there's and like a fully embodied male lineage with grandparents, with other men who are surrounding me. So there are these things that I can look at and point my finger to of things that I've lost or things that I haven't had. But it doesn't fill in all the gaps for me. There is something bigger coming through, and I can't explain it
mm,
totally in words.
mm. So,
Why do we go on the paths that we go on? Why do we feel called in the directions that we do? And it's there's a greater mystery there as
yeah.
well.
Yeah. I love it. I loved your energy around that one. That made me happy.
Hmm. Oh, good. I'm glad.
I like it. Oh, man. Sorry. Just got to stretch here. What's up, Josh? Thanks for
Yeah,
tuning in. Garth, if you're still here, thanks for tuning in.
yeah. I
Andre,
see Aviva. Aviva is watching. Hello.
love it. So, in the midst of all the discussions that are going on right now with Me Too and I can't remember isn't there a counter to that to help equip men? I can't remember the name of it that's coming out too for that.
For men, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I don't remember. Anyway, um, and just in general, the atmosphere for masculinity right now, like what would be one thing you would love to see change in the next year or so for men and the culture of men?
I would love to see men uh, get out of their own. This is going to come across kind of hard edged, um, but I'll just go there anyways. I want to see men handle their shit enough that
Mm,
they can stop taking things personally. That when they
mm,
hear phrases like toxic masculinity or patriarchy or rape culture or different phrases like these, that they can do the work on themselves that they need to stop um, basically giving up their power. Like
mm.
every time I see a man responding, to like feminists or
Oh, bummer. You cut out there, Bob or Robert. Shoot. Let's see if he jumps back on or not, or if we lose him. Oh, bummer. We lost him. Right in a great moment. Ah! Well, let's see if he comes back on here. He says he's here. I'm going to try to bring him back on, guys. Um, Thanks, Blair. I really appreciate it. Hey, Robert, if you can see this, just see if you can add yourself again like you did previously. It just kicked you out. I'm not sure why. But yeah, I'm always fascinated by other men in this industry or in this sphere who are pushing to change the realm of masculinity or for the better. I always love hearing their heart because um, the more I get in this industry, the more I get in this sphere, the more I find men rising up to the occasion and trying to do what they can to help. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So, sorry guys, if you could just bear with me. I'm not sure what's going on with Robert's end. We may just end it here. Let me just reach out to him 1 second here. I'm trying here, Robert. It says I can't add you because I've already sent the request, unfortunately. All right. Let's try one more time. If not, I think I'm just going to have to call it. Thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate it. I do plan on doing more and more interviews. So as you guys watch and see these things, please let me know um, if there's someone you think I should interview. Sorry, I'm gonna try one more time here. Son of a gun. Yeah, it won't let me. All right, guys. Well, it's not letting me add him back into this live interview, so I'm going to close shop here. Just wanted to give a huge shout out to Robert. Thank you for being on my show, my live interviews. Woo! And thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a delightful day. All right. Bye-bye.